When I used to go to the other doctor in the other clinic just up the street, it was like, care card, please. So you hand over that care card and it's like, God, hope that thing just says I can go, right?
It's a story of our life, how can you ignore it? I think we go through it every day of our lives somewhere,
I brought my father-in-law there. The guy that came out was pretty, asking questions like, why are you coming here now? Why didn't you come here earlier? That he passed away that night. And I'm like, wow, that was his experience before he passed away. So All Nations Healing House is that a sign of hope.
There's always been, for years and years, there's been racism in the Williams Lake Hospital towards Indigenous people. And there was the straw that broke the camel's back, an event where a Hatsuil elder was not treated respectfully in a culturally safe way.
I had met Inez Margaret Sellers. She was a beautiful, strong matriarch of her family. There was one time she had fallen, and when I got to the hospital, we had met a doctor that instantly went into a pretty, I would say, critical conversation with Aini, discussing just the alcohol. Like, why would you just go to that? There's been patterns of this happening and you just keep going back to that knee-jerk reaction.
I kept complaining at the hospital, it really hurts, inside, something's wrong. Oh, you'll be sore for a few days, and then you'll be all right, is what they said. Told us to they gave me T3s. They used to give medicines from the hospital. And they told me to give my daughter baby aspirin. And then they kicked us out. Because I'm not really all Indian, but I'm half. Well, nice. I knew it was the way she was talking to me, like rough and everything, like I don't know what I'm doing. And
Aini wasn't the only elder in our community or community member, period, that had experienced this. I went back to the office, I wrote a letter, I went to chief and council, and I just said, I've gone through different steps. I'm not really getting anywhere on my own.
And that really triggered the start of investigating, some of the racism, and started the idea of having a center here. And we brought the nations together, we brought the chiefs together.
I remember having to get band council resolutions from every chief and council, asking them to sign on to a commitment to work together for an All Nations Healing Center. And they did. It took time, but they did. From there was a working group that was established between the three nations to begin looking at what this might look like.
And I had the privilege of going out to the DeKalb communities, Elgacho, Nasco, Latako, and Kluskaz, and holding conversations with them about what does culturally safe care look like for you? What do you want? What do you need? And gathering those voices.
And so that took a couple of years as well to develop that, and then we were able to start the renovations on the building.
We've had 15 communities work together to make this happen, and 3 nations. I also want to take the time to thank the Ministry of Health. This has been a true partnership with the Ministry of Health and their investment in our First Nations Wellness Center.
Really, these are also beacons of hope in terms of being safe places for dealing with culturally safe services and combating racism.
Healing to me means healing from whatever health or addiction challenge you have. It's not just medication, it's not just that. And this is where I hope this healing center is different, is that I don't want them to just bring people in and out, but also help them to live healthier, whether it's with medication, with traditional medicines, but also traditional foods.
So when we started out with the center, we called it the First Nations Wellness Center. And after it was open, we brought the elders all back that had been part of the process of developing it. They spent time talking about what they wanted it to be called, and they talked about, in their language, you know, what did health mean. At the end of the day, the elders decided that the name that they wanted that meant something to them, because it translated in their language to health, was the All Nations Healing House.
When everybody had congregated in the small space that's the front area that looks big, but when you get three nations together, it was very tight in there, but it was so powerful. People were greeting each other and just so happy. Like, you could feel the energy in the room of hope and pride, like a check mark, a huge check mark on a dream, a bucket list item.
Like, oh, we did it, right? What the community asked for, it's here.
You know, often with FNHA you hear the term, nothing about us without us. And we did that here. We included people and we didn't do it without them. Health is about many things, not just seeing your doctor or seeing your mental wellness clinician. What we wanted was the door that they walked in to be the right door. For many years, our people would walk to, go into a door somewhere and they would be told, this isn't the place, and without any, information about where they could go for services.
They greet you with a smile and they say, come and sit down, have coffee, and so this is an excellent place to come to.
Like I said, they treat you like a person here, and that's the simplest thing every First Nation all over the world's asked for, is just to be treated as an equal person. So
the girls that work here, you can throw anything at them, and I have. Like, I've thrown quite a few stories at them where they're just like, we're here to support you, we'll be okay. I'm thankful for every single one of them. Like, I can get help with my diabetes. I can get help with my social anxiety. I can get help with life in general with the counselor. I can get my medical needs helped by Dr. John, by Dr. Patterson.
I mean, we try and incorporate all aspects of patients' health and well-being. So we're dealing with acute medical issues, we're dealing with chronic disease prevention, mental health, access to food, finances, stable housing.
The really awesome conversations usually come from a team-based approach, or often called care conferences, where it's kind of a meeting of the minds, where we all have ideas and put ideas forward, and we do the best care that we can for that particular client.
It's a wraparound service with allied supports, traditional wellness, and a lot of activities that they bring in here with some elders teaching.
Kind of your one-stop shopping for your overall wellness of all areas of your life. Like, this is the place to come, and will help you access that wellness.
And that's what makes, I think, it feel more like home, like a place where people care. It's not just running you in like cattle and you're being herded and then herded out. No, it's not like that at all here. Here is a nice, comfortable atmosphere all the time.
But I've heard of doctors where you have this appointment, it's this long, we'll talk about one thing. And so here, by having those initial appointments of an hour, we call them get to know you appointments with the care provider, you get to start building that relationship.
The one big thing that they do here is they go out and pick up the people that need to come in here to see. They take their time to drive 3 hours to pick up people to see the doctors, the foot care, and whoever else that they need to see her.
We have the transportation service with the van, and we have Irene, our transportation driver. And so she will go and get you and bring you to beading or sewing or an appointment with the healer.
That's a really big plus, because people that are living in the boonies far from here, you know, they very seldom come to town, you know, because they don't have a way to get here.
It was really good because when you missed an appointment out there with your other doctor, cost you $80, you know, $80. You missed an appointment. And so I had quite a few of those, pay for every other day. And here, somebody picks you up so you don't miss any.
When you miss appointments, like as an example, you have a doctor, you're blessed, you miss 3 appointments and they say, see you later, right? That's not culturally safe care. They may not have a vehicle, they may not have gas, they may not have insurance. Someone may have said, yes, I'll give you a ride, but then that ride falls through and people miss their appointments.
Sometimes I went hitchhiking and nobody would pick me up anyway, unless I put on a skirt or something.
All right, you ready? You guys ready? Hey, hey, ya, hey, ya, oh, hey, 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 oh, hey, 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 ya, hey, ya, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, 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 ya, hey, ya, oh,
When growing up, when I was younger, elders would like treat themselves if they got cut out in the bush. You don't see that much nowadays. I didn't want to see that cultural practice or traditional ways of healing kind of like die. Yeah.
For years before Contact Our People, every First Nation people had a way of treating injuries, treating illness, treating everything. So I think there's one thing that goes with our cultural identity is to bring back our cultural teachings, which is healing.
We'll sieve out the buds and we'll heat it up and we'll add beeswax and we'll have a nice salve and a nice massage balm.
And it's your Chatmik words for medicine. And then you can give them as gifts to the elders once you make the medicine. You know how we make pies and pies and things for neighbors? You can get 10 jars. What do you mean I'll see?
So the programs that are ongoing is mostly sewing, beading, and medicine making, and I have a traditional healer come in.
And when I found out that this program started, I came down and got involved right away.
Nice. It does look good.
Quite a few years ago, I had to quit my job because I had multiple strokes and my brain, I had to really try to keep my brain active. So coming here to continue to keep my brain active, you know, it keeps my words flowing because I'm socializing with the other ladies.
Matilda quilt.
When you make it, you just boil it down like this, eh?
Yeah, you could make it with balsam.
We'll have to find some more tins.
Did it set already?
No.
Not yet.
We have Maggie teaching the medicine where she collects all year round, you know, and she comes here and shows us which plants to put together.
Yeah, I want to go some there. Yeah, let's go.
And then tells us what it's good for.
I'm 61. I'm getting older. You know, it's a fact. And I need to keep my mind busy. And with all the other stressors in my world right now, being able to do those crafts and take part and socialize with people that don't know anything about me, other than I'm here to do the same thing you are, to learn how to do this, has been such a reward for me.
It lifts me up, it warms my spirit, it wakens my mind.
That would do.
They need one in every little town, you know, in every subdivision. They need this, where you can come in and just socialize and get friends and feel comfortable where you go.
We have legitimate issues, we need treatment, and when they come here, they're treated as an equal, and they don't have that systemic racism that they face elsewhere. So I think this is one of the most important reconciliation acts that I could see in Williams Lake right now is the All Nations Healing House.
The care is amazing. The people are amazing. Just go there, go check it out.
Eventually, we have our own doctors, our own nurses.
I see the Healing House being like that. It's going to be an extension of the nation's families that are going to be in there. Maybe one day their next generation's going to be the doctors and the nurses and the healers that are already in there.
We're getting there. You know, every time I attend a ceremony somewhere, I start thinking that, well, we're getting there. And to now see people go in and out the doors on a daily basis is great, because that's what you want for your people. And it's happening.
So All Nations Healing House is a sign of hope, a sign of reconciliation that Williams Lake City can stand beside and say, okay, here, this is one of our acts of reconciliation. We can proudly stand beside this and say we're doing our part to recognize our First Nations partners.
There's 14 more primary care centers, First Nations led, coming behind us. The First Nations are designing healthcare services that are going to meet the needs of their specific populations, and so it's groundbreaking.
It's really heartwarming to watch and see, that they have places like this healing center to draw on. They might not all be the same, for sure, their language, their cultures, their traditions, their medicines.
Aine's story kind of opened a conversation that was safe and inviting for people to come and tell their stories too, which led to the nations all having an investment, not just a funding investment or anything like that. It wasn't just leadership, it was people, their people, all members from all the nations coming together because they've all felt those impacts. So I really believe Aine might have been the catalyst, but all the nations have all invested into this, and that's why we have such a beautiful place now.